Hey, you fucks. Thanks for, checking out the videos, showing a little bit of support. How about you take it to the next level and show us some love over there on Patreon, huh? Huh? Huh?
Yo, 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 what the fuck is up there, everybody out there on the YouTube social? Your boy Papa Tikyo coming to you live again from his hot, sexy Kabukicho, Tokyo abode here. I'm chilling, I'm underneath my kotatsu, and I just had my good morning routine. I'm actually starting this rant a little bit early today. And not releasing it early, but I mean recording it early. Because normally I get up at around 6 because I'm a morning. I don't know. I feel like you need to get as much sunlight as you can into your day, especially if you're going to be home all day doing translation work. So it's been nice. It's been good just sitting here chilling. But yeah, it's just this morning instead of waking up like the last couple of days, I was waking up at like 5 a.m. or something. But today I woke up at 7, and I was like, wow. But it was a nice deep sleep. I recommend for any of you guys out there who are having trouble sleeping. Like you gotta wind down your night, especially if you're working on your computer all day. And yeah, you gotta wind down, and so like turn off most of the screen. Everyone always says turn off all the screens, read a book. I'm like, no, no, no. Turn off most of the screens, like almost all of them except for one, so you're not on your phone. Or at least if you're on your phone, you're not watching stuff on your phone. It's not close to your face. It's just like I like to look at my phone to like write down notes for the next day kind of thing. But yeah, wind down the day. And I like to take these CBD gummies. They finally have CBD gummies in Japan after such a long time of like I think they're still the same regulations, but like in America you can make CBD gummies from all parts of the weed plant, right? But in Japan you can only make it from the stems and the seeds. And so it's a lot less potent here in Japan, but yeah, it's still pretty good though. It's pretty good. So like I have these like 3,000 milligram or something. It's like ridiculous size, like super compact ones. But I take two of those like an hour before I go to bed, and it just like wow. And like big shout out to one of my mods, Deep, because she loves marijuanas, and but she recommended I should try CBD gummies to try to go to bed. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of expensive. It's like 4,000 yen for a pack of 60, and I take two a day, so that's like $40 a month. But there's nothing wrong with investing in your health, especially when it comes to sleep. So, yeah, no, I feel good. But yeah, I had like a nice, solid, long sleep last night, and it was super good. But anyway, we're not here to talk about my sleep. We're here talking about being the Japanese gaijin, and I had this in my folder called record this when you're on the motorcycle because it's a broad topic, and you don't like need to get, you can just freestyle it. But today I want to record, since I got done editing my vlogs earlier this week. Today I might record two rants, and so today I'm gonna record this one, which is freestyle, and then I have another one which I have bullet points for. But yeah, it's just like I really liked the thumbnail, like the AI art for this one, like Peter Dinklage, wearing the Japanese kimono, being one of the people, assimilating to the culture. And yeah, it's really nice. It's so fun. And my nose is clogged. But anyway, yeah, so I wanted to make a rant about that today. So, yeah, guys, do me a favor, and if you enjoy these, let me, it's getting to the 4-minute point here, so let me start doing, the self-promos, to let you guys know what's up. But anyway, yeah, guys, I don't make any money off of Google AdSense. Google AdSense pays dog shizen. This channel, both of these channels are completely fan funded. So if you like these videos and you want to see them continue, show me that you love your hot dad by throwing some cash at me over at patreon.com/TKOSam. It's got a lot of cool bonus stuff there, from blogs to behind the scenes footage to signing up for Japanese lessons to even signing up for a tour where you can come to Tokyo and hang out with me for a whole day, and we'll go do a bunch of cool stuff. It'll be so fun. But yeah, guys, anyway, just go over there, check it out, and plus you get your name at the back of at the end of these videos. You get your name in the video, and also you get access to the secret part of the Discord that's super based and secret and cool and meh. But also, if you guys don't like Patreon, you can always help me out here on the YouTube by pushing that join button and becoming a member on either one of these channels, and that will give you access to the secret part of the Discord. And if you become a hot member, a hot dad membership, then you get your name at the end of the videos too. And yeah, guys, I appreciate the shit out of you. You're so fucking pure. You're sexual. It's like the cocaine. And yeah, you know. And also, speaking of awesome super chat or super thanks, this is the super chat thanks of the week. Here we go, boy. Big thank you and shout out to whoever made that before. You're too pure. You're too awesome. Thank you so much, guys. You're just awesome and sexual. Yeah, and I like it how, like, in 2025, this is what we're doing. We're not just, like, because I want to integrate the YouTube memberships and the donos into the rants as well as the Patreon shout-outs. But, you know, the regular, like, joining fee is pretty small for the actual like for the YouTube membership. So for the people who do the second tier one, they get to go on there, and if they want to be cheap, they can go over to Patreon. But anyway, point is, thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you guys give me on a weekly basis over here on the YouTube channel. And also, guys, if you don't have any cash and you're like, but Dad, how can I help out? Well, don't worry, son, I got you covered, because all you gotta do is smash that like button, guys. Smash it. Even the dislike button, I don't care. It gives me self promo. It's so good. You're so pure, like the cocaine. And yeah, guys, you know, just fucking be badass. Check it out. And yeah, also leave a comment. And I guess, but Dad, what should I write about the comment? Well, here's a comment. Answer this question, guys. And what do you consider assimilation? And do you even think it's necessary? And what can people do to assimilate to your country, wherever you are in the world? Because I know there's only a few people here in Japan who actually are watching me. But yeah, that's the question of the day. What do you guys think people can do to more easily assimilate? And what could the government do to help them out? Because today I'm talking about the Japanese gaijin. And it's funny, I got prompted to do this, well, because of the AI art for this, but also because I saw this guy on Twitter, and I don't remember his name, but it was, I forgot who. I think the guy who I like to follow on Twitter, he talks a lot about Japanese stocks, and his name is CTC, I think. That's an acronym for something, but I forgot. It's like check the cash or something. But anyway, he's I think he's like a half Japanese guy from America who moved to Japan, and he's got like a wife and kids here, and he loves to do stock trading. That's like his whole thing that he does. And anyway, he was talking about how Japan should not import people, you know, for labor or something like that. And this one guy like was like, fuck you, like racist or something. He blocked him. And the guy didn't block me, so I went over to his Twitter account, and I was like, who is this guy? And it's like, his whole profile is written in Japanese, and he's wearing a bunch of, like, Japanese robes and stuff, and I guess he's, like, in charge of a bunch of Japan-American style things or whatever, right? And, anyway, I remembered that guy, not because of, like anything that he's written down in particular, but I just remember he was one of the people during the whole Yasuke fiasco, where it's like he was defending that English guy who basically made up the whole fucking story of Yasuke just to get a giant paycheck from Ubisoft and all these other fucking Netflix places. And I remember that guy defended that dude, and I was like, how can you be for Japan, but you're defending people who make up lies about Japan for profit? And because, like, I mean, there's always going to be grifters out there, right? There's always going to be people who are like, oh, yeah, well, like, I have all the secrets of Japan ever, and if you just sign up for whatever course, I'll, meh, you know? And, I don't know, like, some people just have really shitty bullshit detectors, right? But it's like I always thought of Yasuke from when I first came to Japan, when I heard about Yasuke, from what people told me, he was like a Paul Bunyan, like a Pecos Bill, kind of like Tall Tales. God, that movie kicks so much ass. I gotta watch that movie again. You know what I'm talking about, right? Patrick Swayze being Pecos Bill and John Henry and all this shit. Like he was, like people talked about him as if he was like a character versus like a real person. And but anyway, yeah, it's funny. If you're talking shit about somebody, you should be specific. And I want to be specific, but I don't know the guy's Twitter thing. But anyway, yeah, that guy, like, all of his Twitter is in Japanese. And like he was dressed as a Japanese guy in ceremonial robes. But he's obviously like a white guy. I think his name was David something. And but like like on his profile it's like I am in charge of all this stuff in Japanese, but it seemed like a lot of the stuff was like American, or not American, but like somehow international related versus just like Japanese only relate. I could be wrong. I mean, like, I'm just going off cuff here, but the whole point is that like the guy is, if you're so invested in Japan, like if you're such a Japan guy, then what do you give a shit about what other foreigners are saying online, And God, my nose, it's so dry here, dude. It's so dry, and my nose is just, it's got like a stage 5 clinger, where it's just like, again, the booger is stuck right at the top of the nostril, and it's just blocking the airways. I know I could just probably clear this up with some nasal spray, and I have nasal spray, but I just don't like how it goes down my throat, Like, there must be like some kind of like nose, like humidifier machine or something. I've seen them in something before, where it's like a machine where you plug it in and it just kind of like puts steam up your nose or whatever. I should look into that later. Do any of you guys know what I'm talking about? Do you guys have any suggestions on how to clear my nose in the morning? Because, like, it's so annoying. Like, I blow my nose and everything, but it's just like, what should I do? Because it's not my nose. It's inside, like, the nasals, like, behind my eyes kind of shit. But anyway, yeah, it's just like, when I think of, like, a Japanese, like, you think of somebody who's, like, assimilated to Japan. Like, for me, like, I think of Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai, right? Like, he's this guy who, I love the story of The Last Samurai. I know, like, a lot of people think it's very cliched, but I like it. I like the story of The Last Samurai because it's like, it's so funny because it's kind of like the anti-weeb who becomes a weeb story, Like, Tom Cruise's character in that movie, he's forced... he goes to Japan for a paycheck. He doesn't care about Japan. He doesn't give a shit about anything. But he goes to Japan because he's a washed-up war veteran, and he makes money off of grifting about, like, surviving this thing that didn't really happen the way everyone says it did, etc. And he's an alcoholic coming, trying to face what happened there, and he's just living by the skin of his teeth or whatever, right? So he goes to Japan because he gets an offer to get money by teaching Japanese people how to fight the way that Americans did or something, right? And anyway, so he goes to Japan, right? And he goes to a battle with the soldiers that he was training, and he gets captured by these Japanese rebels, and then, he's forced to be in this village, and he can't run away because he doesn't, like, the winter is harsh. He wouldn't be able to survive, and most Japanese people don't know who foreigners are, and, like, it's just safer for him to stay in the village. So he's forced to be in this village where only, like, one person speaks English, and he's, like, he's fed, he's bathed or whatever, like, like, he's taken care of, but, like, he's like bored. He doesn't have anything to do, so he just kind of, he gets involved in the stuff that Japanese people are doing, like he what is it? It's like he starts doing sword, what do you call it? Like, he's doing sword practice and stuff. He's helping take care of the kids. And, he's just doing all this stuff to kind of help around the village. And it's funny because it reminds me of Shogun. And I haven't watched the first Shogun series all the way through. and I haven't watched the new Shogun series at all, and I really should because like I feel like I want to quote that series more, but I need to watch all of it, right? But anyway, the first Shogun series, there like this guy, he becomes like what do you call it? Like a confidant of like one of the Japanese dudes in charge, and so he gets gifted like a house to live in, and he was hanging like meat or something outside, and I guess like somebody like took the meat down or something. I can't remember the whole story, but anyway, point is he knows who did it, and he's like, hey, that guy fucked up with my meat. Take care, like, you know, reprimand him. And then the next day they're like, yeah, we just killed that guy, and he's like, what? I just meant like yell at him and take his pay away for a day or something. Like, what the hell's wrong with you guys? And so, but yeah, it's just I don't know. Like that's such a strong reminder of like how Japan was Japan. Like it just reminds you of like, to me, it's like everything is so connected now thanks to the internet that you can go other places, and it's not that they don't have their own special feel to it, but it just feels like a lot of things are watered down these days. And it's like, you know, Europe's become a fucking refugee camp that has iPhones everywhere, you know? It's just, like, you go to these places where you think, like, they'd have, like, a really strong kind of, like, tradition and culture, and it just seems like the whole world is trying to, like... It's funny because when you talk about stuff that's like watering down cultures and making it all the same everywhere, don't you use the term whitewashing? But it's not really whitewashing. It's like rainbow shit colored washing, you know? And it's like you know, what makes cultures and places so unique is that they don't follow the trends. They don't follow the stuff of other countries. And like, not to get political here, I always say that, but I mean, like, I saw this thing in the news the other day, and it's like Muslims in Kyushu, Japan, are angry because they want to bury their dead in Japan, and they'll pay for the land, but they want to have a place to bury their dead in Japan. And it's like, no. No, like, you've seen what happens when you give Muslims that move to another country a foot, you know, they take a mile, you know. It's like they move to another country, and then they're like, okay, we're going to set up a mosque. Okay, that's fine. We're going to ring our bell of prayer or whatever 5 times a day. What? Dude, okay, is it going to be really loud? No, it's not going to be loud. They fucking play it. It's loud as fuck throughout the whole fucking place. And it's just all these weak people that don't want to be racist are like, oh, okay, well, we don't want to be... No, what you're saying is that you know that a majority of terrorist attacks that happen around the world in the last couple of decades have been Muslim-related, and you're afraid of getting bombed too, so you're not going to say anything because you don't want a target on your back. That's what you're saying. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Tell me if I'm wrong, but... I find it so ironic that if anybody went to a Muslim country and they're like, hey, I want to set up a Christian church here, and I know that you guys have the mosque bell or whatever, but I want you to like turn that off and stuff, and you know, like I want to have dogs around because I like dogs, even though you guys find that halal or god damn it, I said the word wrong. Anyway, point is just like you know, like the amount of entitlement that people have, and it's just like I like watching historical stuff because it's like back in the day, countries were like, whether they were right or wrong, they were like, nah, fuck you, this is our place, this is the way we do things, and if you don't like it, you're welcome to suck our dicks and get out, you know. And I feel like a lot of places are they're fumbling the bag, or they're losing perspective, because it's like the people in charge just want money, you know. When it comes down to everything, they just want money, they want power, so they don't mind selling out their own country in order to make a quick dollar, you know. And it's always the laziest people that are just like jumping on the grift. And like, I mean, hell, even fucking somebody in charge of Kawaguchi or something in Saitama, like this guy from this company and this immigration official, they got in trouble. I think it wasn't even like, it was like the Minister of Foreign Affairs or something. Like, it was something big. It wasn't just like some dude at immigration. It was like a government head guy, and he wasn't even getting paid that much money in bribes, you know. But like, he was letting in a lot of foreigners and just like, yeah, I'm not checking them. Yeah, come on, let them in, kind of thing. Because the way that the foreigners come in for the labor shortage is they just join a company, and then that company gets hired by the government to vet those people, and then they just send them over in mass for the most part, and there's rarely any vetting or checking going on, you know? And so it's just when you do that, you're fucking over the regular taxpayer, but also you're fucking over just the regular everyday person, you know, who doesn't want to deal with that. And so, like, I like the idea of the Last Samurai when it's just like, yeah, fuck you, you know? We ain't got wine here, you drink sake. We ain't got hamburgers, you're gonna eat sushi, you know? We ain't got yoga class, you're gonna practice swordplay. And I don't know, I miss when cultures were still their culture. And like Japan's still Japan for the most part. Like, let's not get it twisted here. But it's just the more that Japan caters to foreigners, the more Japan loses its Japanness. And it's not even foreigners who want to live here, it's just tourists, right? I mean, I watched the Shu Matsuo guys Akia channel where he's always like, this American couple just purchased a great property in Chiba or whatever. And it's like, you know, to be honest, I don't really care. You know, I know people have freaked out about that before, but I really don't give a shit. And it's mostly just because these people are buying properties in places where nobody wants to live anyway. Like, who the fuck wants to live in Chiba? You know? But, like, the problem is if those people are super rich and they start buying up all the prime real estate in downtown, like the Chinese people did in Canada, you know, or like Australia, you know, you got, or fucking all the Airbnbs in America for the most part, right? Like, you gotta be careful, right? You know, like, I saw this one, like, tour video of them showing the most expensive condo in all of New York, and it was designed the most, it was so ugly, it was so bad, it was just cookie cutter bullshit. But like a Chinese like businessman or something owned the place, and he doesn't even live there. He just owns it because he knows it's gonna stay up in value. So like he's just holding it. No one's living there, and then so eventually he can sell it. Eventually, if he needs money or something, right? It's just so slimy, man. You're selling out your people. You're selling out your own kind for the quick dollar from the foreign scum. But yeah, it's just like, it's funny because I think a majority of foreigners that come to Japan, they're not going to stay here long term. Like, Japanese is, everyone loves to say Japanese is such a hard language to learn. It's Obama. And but it's not true, you know. I think Japanese, if you look at Japanese from the perspective of it's different, but if you like Japan, if you're willing to get into the Japanese culture and make Japanese friends and like really like kind of, you know, commit to jumping into the pool versus like just dipping in a toe at a time, Japanese will be way easier to pick up, you know? It's just, it's different. Like, you learn a romance language a different way. You learn Japanese a different way. It's not necessarily harder. It's just different. But I think a lot of people can't get over that different hump, that bump in the fence or whatever. So if you're going to be in Japan where 98 to 99% of the population is Japanese, it's going to be so much easier for you to speak Japanese. And, like, you know, Japanese people, they're patient. They'll put up with you. But, like, if you're like, hey, can you look at this iPhone recording or this Samsung, whatever the fuck, I'm going to use my Apply translator here to, like, people don't have time for that, you know? Like, it's like, learn the fucking language, you know? I remember there was this great episode of The Outer Limits. You guys remember that show back in the day? Fox used to play it on Thursdays. It was like, do you call it anthology? It's like every episode had a different story and, like, a different plot in it. And, I remember there was this one episode of The Outer Limits where this, like, everybody has these, like, implants in their head, and they use this, like, this little thing that attaches to the side of their head or whatever, and it helps them learn everything instantly. And because they learn everything instantly, they don't take it in, and they don't, it's all temporary. Like, they forget it real as soon as the, like, because it's just temporary memory, right? So it's like, oh, I know Portuguese now or something, right? But then if their AI little tablet thing breaks or whatever, they forget it. And so, but there's one guy who, like, the AI add-on doesn't work with him for some reason, so he has to learn everything at a regular human's pace. But anyway, long story short, I mean, I'm not spoiling this 30-year-old fucking TV episode. Whole point is, at the end, he finds out the AI is evil, and he destroys it, and then everyone has to learn normally again, and so he starts teaching people how to read, so then they can start reading books again and learning and stuff, and it's really cool. But the whole point is like, you got to put in the effort to learn the language. And I love it how some people like to shit on me and they're like, oh, Tika Sam thinks he's better than me just because he speaks the language. And I'm like, yeah, I am. You know, I don't care whatever you accomplished. If you didn't put in a couple hundred hours or thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours to learn a language of the place you're going to live in, you have no foot to stand on, bro. It's like, yeah, well, I make a lot more money. And I'm like, so? Can you even go to the post office and tell them that you want to, like, send this thing by boat mail instead of air mail? Like, no, you can't. Like, you can't call up your fucking phone company or your internet company to tell them that there's an issue. Like, you're a child. Like, you know, it's like at least children can read. You're worse than a child, dude. And so it's like I do really take it personally when people complain about Japan that don't speak, read, or write Japanese. You know, it's like it's like being an illiterate adult. It's like, yeah, well, that's a lie. Where did you read that? I can't read. You know, it's like, well, you should read so then you can have multiple opinions on stuff. Nah, I've gotten this far without reading in my life. I don't need to read. Obama, I don't know. Here, let me take some more coffee here really quick. I'm seriously gonna have to ask ChatGPT later how to clear up my fucking sinuses. It's just dry. It feels just dry and crusty in there. It's and like I don't know. I heard it's normal just to have like one good nostril that has the airflow coming in, but it's really annoying. God damn it! Oh, my fucking Nosenstein. But anyway, it's just like most people that come to Japan, I think they leave because of the language issue. You know, the language issue is a big fucking thing. Oh great, now my nose is bleeding. Yay, I'm so smart. And it's just like, but the whole thing is like, you do not need to be intimidated by the language. You can learn the language, but a lot of people are just worried about what's the process they should do to learn the language, and so because it's intimidating, they never actually get into it. And I just I think that if you went to other countries, it's very hard to sometimes get into stuff. Like my buddy Scott Malin, American in Bangkok. He's visiting me in March here. It's gonna be nice. You know, he told me. I asked him. I was like, "Why is it you always like have like Thai women in your videos or something? Why don't you ever have Thai guys in your videos?" And like, he was like, "You know what? To be honest, like, he's like, when I first came to Thailand, I tried to make a bunch of Thai." Like male friends, because I thought the same thing you thought. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to be one of those losers who just hangs out with the Thai women. And he's like, but every Thai guy I tried to befriend, they eventually would just ask me for money. And he's like, it got really annoying. And I'm like, you only did that with a few people. He's like, nah, I did that with a lot of dudes, or I tried to befriend them. And like, eventually we'd be out for a meal or something, and like, I thought I'd be broing out with these guys, and then they're like, oh yeah, hey Scott, thanks for the meal. And he's like, what? I'm not paying for this. They're like, come on, dude, you're American, you have so much more money than us, why aren't you paying for this? And he's like, what the fuck, you guys just want to hang out with me for money? And so he's like, yeah, like, fuck this. And so that was like a breaking point for him. That happened enough times where he was like, screw that. But you know, I think that's a like really nice thing about Japan, though. It's like Japan can still, like, Japanese people can still stand on their own 2 feet, right? So they don't really need like a foreigner here for like money. Like they want to make friends of foreigners because you're interesting, you're chill. Like, you got to remember, like, the kind of energy you put out, you're gonna get back. And this isn't some like Obama. This isn't like some Oprah like spiritual The Secret kind of bullshit, like yoga hippie shit. Like, I do think that it's like, if you put out the energy that you're like an insecure little bitch who's worried about people judging you, then people are going to see you as an insecure little bitch and people that are judging you. And it's like, well, Dad, how can you become not an insecure little bitch? And it's like, well, you got to find balance, dude. Yeah, like, I think a lot of, like, dude, it took me till like my mid-30s to fucking find balance, you know? And it's like, if there's one thing I wish I had done better when I was younger, it's just like, you got to find that balance. But a lot of people, they got to go through shit. They got to go through the ringer a bunch of times until they can finally find that balance. And it's like, well, what's that balance for you? And I'm like, well, just find things that make you feel better. and that you can do regularly and easily. You know, start with that and build from there. And it's like, okay, so like for me, getting up early versus staying up late. If I stay up late, I always feel really guilty afterwards because like I want to get as much sunlight as I can into my day as much as possible. So you know, I wake up early. It makes me feel better. You know, and another thing too is like eat like whole foods and stuff. Like if you're gonna, you can still cook like, you know, grilled food or everything, but just try to fit in as much fruits and vegetables as possible. Like today, I ran out of bananas, and I try to have a banana every day, and I ran out of apples too, but I still have a bunch of oranges left in the fridge, so I'm gonna eat those. But sometimes that stuff is expensive, but it doesn't matter. Like try to fill up your body and your mind are like a garden. You can either fill it with shit or you can fill it with good stuff, you know? So fill it with the good stuff. Take care of it. But start with that. Figure out what's important to you and like what makes you feel the most productive, and then do that first, and you'll feel better, you know? And like you got to remember that sometimes you got to charge your batteries, right? So whether it's like being around people all the time is overwhelming, not taking care of your finances is overwhelming, you know? Like you got to make sure everything's balanced, bro. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's just like, you know, I see, going back to the Twitter guy, it's like I see this dude who seems to be really good at Japanese. He's in charge of some committees that are probably mostly Japanese, but they're like foreign-oriented Japanese stuff. But yet this guy's getting triggered about some dude saying something about foreigners on the internet, right? And like today I was watching a video from Young James. Shout out to Young James, the based hot young, soon to be dad at some point, you know, hot young James here. I hope he stays in Japan for a while, you know. He said that he wants to go home and travel the world, and that's cool, but I hope he stays. I hope he's one of those guys who says he's going to leave, but he never leaves, because he just keeps finding good stuff to keep him here. But anyway, it's just I was watching one of his videos, and he was talking about, you know, all of these like nuisance streamers and shit that are in Japan or whatever, right? And people, like, you know, people in his community are like, what do you think about this? Have you looked into this at all? And he's like, dude, I'm so busy with going to the gym and studying and making money. Like, I don't got time to look at this shit. And it makes me wonder, too. It's like if James, this guy who's a student, and he doesn't do, like, a very important job, right? Like, he's just doing, you know, odd jobs to save money and shit. If this guy who is young and he's just doing odd jobs and stuff is saying that he's too busy to watch this stuff, it makes me wonder, like, how many of these people that watch these type of streamers are unemployed or doing a job that's not important, or they have way too much free time, you know? Like, it just makes me think, you know? Like, I remember there was this, I don't know. I mean, like, sometimes you see the same screen name in a bunch of people's, you know, comment section, or like the live streams or whatever, and it's like what do these guys do? You know, like, are you doing a remote job where you're at home all the time and you're just watching streamers? It's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's different because I'm a creator too, but it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you wasting your time watching these people? Shouldn't you be out doing something? Like, I love it too because these guys, they'll justify it by being like, well, I was working or whatever. I'm like, why aren't you listening to audiobooks? Why aren't you listening to a podcast? Like, why aren't you trying to watch something educational? Like, it's like, well, this is the way I wind down. And I'm like, yeah, but you're in these live streams all the time, dude. Like, you know, like you're, I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me. But anyway, it's like, because it's like, what is being the Japanese gaijin, right? You know, and it's like, if young James can be based and he doesn't care about these nuisance streamers, then like, why does everyone else care about them too? And it's like, well, they're pissing off people. I'm like, yeah, but like, if they did something illegal, the cops will arrest them, right? So why do you care? Like, and I'm not saying you should forgive them for their bad behavior. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, like, the Japanese people are governed by the Japanese people. They're policed by the Japanese people. So it's like, you know, and I get it. You think that if you complain a lot online that, like, it'll put pressure on the Japanese police to do something, or you hope secretly that it will piss off somebody enough to not care about getting arrested and doing something violently to these guys in order to scare other people from doing something, you know, like, similar in the future. And I get that. I'm just saying it's a waste of time. And I like it how James realizes that too. He's like, dude, like, go out and fucking get laid. Go get a hobby or something, you know? And it's just I don't know, man. Like, I think of these people that are here long term in Japan, and I was talking to Oriental Pearl because she wants to do a video. She's doing 2 videos right now that are kind of like Takashi from Japan style interviews, where it's like she wants to find Americans, or not just Americans, like gaijin that have lived in Japan for a while and why they're leaving Japan. Which is funny because like I was reacting to a couple of those for the channel, and I was like, you know what? I don't really care why people are leaving. You know, like why am I focusing any of my time on this stuff? Like I want to be here for a while, so let's watch other people that are here and enjoying their stuff too. But anyway, and then she couldn't find a lot of people that were leaving Japan, so she's doing another thing where she's asking people how long they've been in Japan and like you know why they want to live in Japan for a while and stuff. And it's good, you know. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It's just, it's funny because, like, I kind of brought up the young James thing because it's like, you know, there's people that hated on me before at one point because it's like, specifically, I just remember this one thing where these 2 guys were talking shit because they're like, Tico Sam lives in a guest house. He's like overweight, which I don't know what that has to do with anything about assimilating, but they're like, he's overweight, and he streams like 3 or 4 times a day, or not a day, like per week or whatever, and like, you know, like the guy is, he's just like, how is this guy contributing to society? And like, you know, like we own property, where, you know, we have jobs where we are in charge of other people, you know, we have families, and I'm like, okay, that's good. That's good, but you guys still don't speak any Japanese. You can't read a newspaper, you know? And it's like, oh, so you're just saying you're better than them because you learned Japanese? And it's like, well, I think that, like, and also that, like, I worked for over a decade here, you know? And it might not have been fucking amazing jobs or whatever, super, like, brain surgery style jobs, but it was still contributing, you know? And so just because I choose to work part-time now and freelance and I get to wear whatever I want and be outspoken about things doesn't mean that I haven't contributed to society. It doesn't mean that I haven't contributed to society, and it doesn't mean that I'm not contributing to society now. Fucking nose being clogged up. I hate this. Here, I gotta pause this for a second. God damn. Okay, guys, it wasn't the cleanest thing I did, but I decided to get a paper towel and just soak it in water and then just shove it up my nostrils, and they feel so much better. Oh my god, that feels awesome. Oh, it's good. So much relief. Anyway, back to the topic. So I mean, the whole point is like, how can you assimilate to Japan, and like, how are you contributing to Japan, right? And like, what do you consider contributing to Japan? It's like, well, I've increased the population, I've put more money into the economy, I've paid more taxes or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but you know, like, what are you doing though? You know, what have you done? What are you doing? And you know, for me, it's like I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you got to read the air, right? And it's like one of those things where you like, you know, it's the difference between coming off as a cringe person and not cringe, right? Like some people, it's kind of like the Democrats, kind of like the people who voted Democrat and were pro-vaccine. You know, it's like the whole point is that like you could be, there's a bunch of smooth talkers out there for sure, of course, that like are, you know, propagating bullshit like those weird Christian preachers that are like, you know, the lizard people are real. Oh my god. Like, nah, just because they sound good doesn't mean that anything what they're saying is correct. But it's like, for instance, I you know, when I was younger, I wanted to learn Japanese so well so I would be accepted by Japanese people by doing non-foreign related stuff. And so, like, for example, like when I joined my karate dojo a long time ago, I was only there for like a year and a half. But like sometimes a foreigner would come to, like, no other foreigners joined while I was there, but sometimes a foreigner would come and the dojo, like, what is it, the master, the dojo leader or whatever, you know, the sensei, he would be like, can you translate for me? And I was like, that's not really, like, you know, part of me was I did it, but like, you know, part of me was thinking at that time, like Like, dude, like, just because I'm a foreigner, like, you're gonna ask me to translate in a language that I know. I was so entitled. It's so cringy. And it's just like, and I remember when I got this job as, like, doing, like, an international sales director thing at this Japanese company, it's like, translation was not initially part of the job, but it eventually became part of the job. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not here to do English translating or whatever. And they're like, yeah, well, we don't have anybody else here who's a foreigner. And yeah, you're going to have to do that. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's funny because I was like, how did I not expect that I wasn't going to be translating when it's international sales director position? But anyway, point is that, like, you know, I've met other foreigners here. Like, I've met both sides of the spectrum, right? Like, ones who just don't learn Japanese. They hang out with foreigners all the time. They watch, like, Saturday Night Live and, like, Western movies all the time instead of Japanese stuff. They don't like anime. They don't like video games. They don't like manga. You know, they don't like anything that's, like, really cool, pop culture shit that, like, they could relate to other Japanese people on. And then that's the thing, too, that I don't understand either. Like, these people who say they don't like anime or TV shows or movies or whatever, they never even try to find other hobbies that they could easily do in Japanese with other people. Like, I know one guy specifically that I'm thinking off of the top of my head who he loves American football. And I hate that I even have to call it American football. There's only one football, America. But anyway, he likes American football. And I was like, well, you know, they have, like, American football and, like, sports. You like sports. They have sports in Japan. I bet you could make some Japanese friends if you start going to these sports events. And he's like, nah, fuck that. I don't want to watch Japanese, like, shit down versions of these sports. I want to watch American. I'm like, okay, well, you're always talking about how you're not a weeb and how you don't like video games, but, like, this is something you could easily do to befriend people here so you could feel more connected here. Because I like, you know, I think a lot of people leave not just because of the language thing, but just they're feeling lonely. They don't have, like, a community to be part of, and the community that they are a part of is just some Reddit fucking thing run by dudes who are just not even in Japan, right? And so it's like, and that's, like, another thing too. If you befriend mostly foreigners, those foreigners will eventually leave. You know, they're not going to stay here, and so, you know, that's why you want to leave too, because you're like, oh, all my friends are gone, kind of thing, right? And it's like, well, you know, Dad, not everybody that moves to Japan wants to live there permanently. Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, when I moved to Japan, I don't know, I couldn't explain it, but I just felt like I want to be here forever, you know, like, I want to learn more about this stuff, and I really mesh here. I really like it here. And, like, you're lucky when you find something that makes you feel like that so early on, you know? But it's just for some people that come here, it's like I dress like a big stereotypical American, right? Like, I wear flashy colors, I have a bandana, I bleach my hair. My hair is long, which is not a normal thing. You would think it would be a normal thing in 2025, but my hair is long. My hair is bleached yellow. I like to wear sunglasses. And you know, and I'm a big fat guy, and so it's like, but it's comfortable for me. That's like I'm living my truth, you know. Like, I feel, but the same thing is like, you know, I think everyone goes through phases too. You got to remember that when you're talking about foreigners in Japan. Everyone, like, sometimes people like to hint at it or mention it, but there are phases, right? Like the honeymoon phase, the hating Japan phase, the stoic phase. I forgot all the phases, but I've gone through all of them here. But it's just like, you know, I think that it's so easy to blame a country or people when you're the one who doesn't have your shit together. And I disagree with people when they say that if you move to another country, that you can't fix your life. I think that any change of environment is always better than not changing your environment. And I think that Japan, in terms of, like, social safety, like safetiness in general, of walking the streets at night, having the peace of mind of, like, you can go to the hospital if something's wrong and you're not going to be in debt forever. Like, having that, and just, like, the cheap price of food and everything, and the cheap price of housing, like, when you have all these other worries that are out of the way, you can really start focusing on the shit that you need to focus on to get better. I think a lot of people fail to mention that when they're talking about, like, oh, you can't just moving to another country won't fix your problems, because like in a certain way it can. It helped me for sure, you know. And so, but the thing is, it's just like, I remember I went through a phase where I really, really wanted to be Japanese, where I didn't want to have anybody mention that I'm a foreigner, and that I didn't want people to speak to me in English, and I would get like SJW triggered and be like, why are you speaking English to me? Like, your English sucks, and like, I'm here in Japan. Come on, let's speak Japanese. And like, I cringe when I'm thinking about that, you know, because I'm like, oh, like I can't believe I said shit like that or I acted like that, but. Like, again, like, everyone has to go through their phases, but the whole point with the Twitter guy is that guy's gone full Japanese, you know. He's wearing the Japanese clothes, he's writing mostly in Japanese, he's probably interacting with Japanese people all the time, but he's still, like, a guy who his main role is connecting internationally, like, international stuff to Japan. So he's still a foreigner, right? And I think that, but that's a good place to be in, right? Like, you're Blade, you know, you have both of the strengths and none of the weaknesses, right? And I think it's like, again, like, there are people that want to be trendsetters. There are people that want to like step out and like be the Harriet Tubman or something of their time, right? But it's like, you know, some people they just like, it's not about like know your place, you know, well, you damn foreigner, but it's at the same time, it's like you can live a comfortable life here without having to ruffle feathers. But if you're gonna ruffle feathers, go full on and ruffle those goddamn feathers, but be realistic about it, you know. And like, the truth is, it's like, this is Japan. This is a country for Japanese people, and so Japanese people will always have the right of way for you when it comes to job stuff, when it comes to, you know, like, being fair legally, all this shit, you know. And it's like, but the thing is like, if you accept that and you're not trying to change it, like, I think that it's fine. Like, because, you know, all these people that complain about Japan, they forget that the biggest thing about Japanese society, the reason why it works so well, is because of the wa, you know, like the wa of the wa shoku. You know, it's so funny because, like, you think of like, in, you know, in Japanese, to say Japanese food, they don't call it Nihon Shoku. That would be a direct translation of saying Nihon Shoku. You know what they call Japanese food in Japanese? They call it wa shoku. And what does wa mean? Wa means peace. It means peaceful eating. So, like, when was the last time you heard any country refer to their own food as peaceful eating, right? And so, it's like, wa means like peace, it means harmony, right? So, like, literally, to say Japanese, to say peace, you say heiwa, which means like even harmony or even peace, you know, like the time of peace, and you know, Harold Halibut's, you know, it's peaceful, right? But the thing is that like Japan can be a soul crushing society. There's definitely some things wrong with Japan, but one of the reasons it works so well is because people, like, they know their place. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. I mean that in like, people are genuinely, for the most part, good here, I think. You know, like, I remember in China, like Winston and Laowai, you know, like Serpent ZA and Laowai 86 were talking about how there was a phenomena. I don't know if it's still in China. I maybe it still is, but there was a big phenomena where people would not help people in China. Like, if somebody collapsed on the ground, nobody would go over to help them, because there was, for a while, like, a group of people that would sue people when they did that. They would fake, it's like car insurance fraud or whatever in America, how like people like would purposely get run into so they could like sue the other person. But, and now thanks to that, there's a bunch of dash cams on everybody's cars. But, you know, in Japan, I still think most people are genuinely good, you know, and I think that it's the societal upbringing, you know, like I remember, if it was in America, if I saw a wallet on the street and I was still like a poor young kid, I'd probably just keep it, you know, not now, but back then, right? But since I moved to Japan, there's been at least 2 times off the top of my head where I found a wallet on the street. Well, one was on the street, one was at the train station, and I just brought it to, when I found it on the street, I brought it to the Koban, And you know, and then the second time I found it, I brought it to the guy on the train, and the train thing, and you know, that was another thing that I really liked. A Japanese guy was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go bring it to the train guy. Do you want to bring it?" And he's like, no. I was like, "Let's go together." And we brought it to the model Gucci, the window or whatever where the guy was, and I was like, "Yeah, we were on this train at this time, and so if somebody lost a wallet at this time or whatever, there you go." And it's like Japan's just the. I mean, of course there are issues here. I'm not gonna like try to pussyfoot around them, but at the same time, it's like when you have a lot of people that are doing that, like that's a really good society, you know. And it makes me sad because I feel like Japan, moving forward, it's gonna be more, they're gonna have to toughen up. They're gonna have to toughen up like Thailand or Singapore toughened up if the yen keeps being weak, because more people are gonna come here on tourist visas, or more people are gonna come here and realize that Japan is really weak when it comes to a lot of stuff. I mean, hell, just the other week, I think 2 guys from Sri Lanka, they got arrested for stealing cable, like copper cable from some plant. And it's just because people normally don't steal shit in Japan, so they have low security. And so, unfortunately, Japan, if they're going to keep getting money from tourism dollars, they're going to have to up that shit up. But, I mean, the whole thing about being, like, a based gaijin, like, I'm not saying I'm the best gaijin out there, but I feel like I'm one of the best. And the reason why is just because I can talk to people, you know? Like, I feel like I'm on the... And this isn't some ego bullshit. I feel like out of all the conflicts that I see with other people that are foreigners having with Japanese people... It's like these motherfuckers don't understand Japan. Like they didn't spend thousands of hours watching TV shows and anime and like really getting into the culture. But oppositely, there are some guys that are like super mega weebs that, because they've gotten so hard into the culture, they've gotten so hardcore into knowing this, they feel like it's entitlement for them, like they need to protect Japan, and they get offended. Like I remember this one case of this guy, I think his name was Daniel, you're gonna have to correct me on that, but there was this guy, God, it was such a long time ago. I wish I could find the interview. It was on YouTube. It was like a small interview from this guy who does a travel vlog around the world. And he interviewed this guy who was, he was a guy who came to Japan on a tourist visa or something. And then he got a job at like a temple or something. And then it was really good. He learned Japanese to fluency. But then, like the temple's owner switched the ownership to his son, and his son's like, I want to make money, I don't give a shit about this. And so the temple became a place where tourists would go, and it's just a bunch of normies, right? And so like the gaijin guy that was working there, he was put in charge of all the English stuff and everything. And like one day he just snapped, and they're like, you know, there's somebody complaining about them on Google or something. He's like, maybe if you weren't a fucking piece of shit normie tourist, you'd understand the importance of this shit. You fucking, you know, like get out of here, locals only, you know. And I don't know, I feel like you got to be careful, right? Because if you get to that point where you're like, I'm so Japanese, I need to protect Japan for Japanese people. I don't think there's anything wrong with like calling out bullshit when you see it, but at the same time, like you can't make your whole life, your whole existence about that, you know, where it's like, I will save Japan. It's like, nah, dude, like what you do by saving Japan is take care of the people around you. You start a family, you start increasing the Japanese population, you help out your local community. And, you know, if you see something fucked up happening right in front of you, you do something about it, right? And it's so funny because, like, I saw, like, a tweet by Chris Abroad, and this guy had thrown, like, an ice snowball at somebody during, like, a winter festival, and it's fucked up. That guy should have gotten his ass tackled and beaten down right there, but everyone doesn't want to catch a case, right? So, but Abroad was like, if I had seen this man in front of me, I would have smashed his camera down. I'm like, no, you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't have. You would have been like, it's like, that's why you're talking about it on your Twitter, because you have a lot to lose. So you wouldn't do that. You don't want to jeopardize your visa in Japan. You don't want to jeopardize the money that you could get sued for. So you're just posting that in hopes that you hope somebody out there will go and violently do something to this guy so you don't have to. So you don't get any of the consequences. And it's just like, come on, dude. Like, if you're gonna be pissed off, I get it, but like, you know, like I'm seeing, you got read between the lines kind of thing, right? And I'm just saying, it's like, look, if you're gonna fuck up somebody, just own it, right? But like, I don't know. Stop trying to act like such a tough guy on your Twitter account, I guess is one of. I should probably stop doing that too, you know. But it's just the whole point is like there you can live a peaceful, happy existence in Japan where you are contributing to the country, where you don't come off as a like entitled cringe lord, who and like I don't get a lot of people on my channel these days, right? But I'm all right with that because I really I think it's like you put whatever you put out into the world, you're getting back, kind of thing. I don't believe in karma or anything like that, but I'd like to believe that the more you put out, the more you get in the world, right? And I think that a reason why you guys check out the channel is because it's Japan, but if it was just Japan, you guys wouldn't stick around. Like, you're sticking around because of me, and even if you don't agree with a lot of things I say, I think that a lot of you, I think a majority of you guys agree with what I say, and you don't have to, but I'm just saying like birds of a feather kind of thing, right? Like sad boys on Reddit hang out with sad boys on Reddit because they're sad boys on Reddit, Misery loves company. They love being in a feedback loop that enables their sadness, right? But like you guys, I feel that the more of this kind of stuff that I put out here, where I could be more organized with this stuff before I put it out, of course, but I feel like the more I give my opinion about this shit, that hopefully more people that are like-minded like me will come to Japan and make it better. Like I think that it's like, make your neighbor, be a good neighbor, be a good worker, like be good to your family, and it's like be good to your friends, right? And I think that a lot of people, they get caught up in all the social media bullshit and whatever else you want to say, but it's just, I'd hope that the more people that watch my stuff that eventually do come over here to move, that they do become more like me. Maybe not in the weight department, but it's just in the way of like clear thinking and just having purpose and not letting the bullshit of daily life and news like get to you as much. And I think that Japan is a very welcoming country as long as you're welcoming to it as well, if that makes sense. Like, I think that, like, unlike other cultures where you're surrounded by a bunch of scammers or people that maybe just want to use you for money, or they're so used to foreigners that they see as a paycheck or something that, it's like China. They destroyed all their fucking history as soon as Mao took over. But it's like Japan, like Taiwan is so spread out, and it's very like Taiwan and Korea are like my second choices to Japan, but they're not as well organized when it comes to Japan. And I like Japan. Like, I love the options it gives for a lot of people, and I think that if you were ever going to dive deep into any fucking country's culture and history, Japan's definitely one of the best options out there. And I don't know, I like the idea that I'm prompting more people to come here and quote unquote respect the culture, but also just like, contribute, be part of, like, Japan needs more level-headed foreigners that are just chill, that are just like, yeah, like, and I feel like maybe I'm helping contribute to that number. I don't know. We'll see in due time, but it makes me happy to share my opinion with you guys, and hopefully that breeds more people that are similar minded and blah 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 blah. Kanye's a gay fish. Kanye's like a Nazi now. Holy shit, like, it legit. I can't believe he made that fucking t-shirt. Oh my god. If you love the swastika so much, why don't you make a t-shirt of it? He's like, boom, done. Oh, he actually did it. I think the company stopped making it though after that, but that's pretty funny. But yeah, guys, I mean, the whole point is Japan's just like anywhere else in the world. It is whatever you make of it. And don't be dissuaded by punk-ass negative little bitches on the internet and offline, too, like I said, like, your mind is like a garden, You got to feed it the right nutrients and make sure you avoid all the other crap, too. It's so easy to be spun into the other crap when you're not happy with your current situation and you see other people that are getting rewarded for doing stuff that you don't think they're worthy of. And you just gotta do right by you and your kin. But anyway, that's I don't know. That's all I gotta say for today's rant. What did you guys think about it? Do you think it was fun? I have been making rants all week, and I've been doing YouTube stuff all week, and I just kind of want to sit down and not talk for a while. I was gonna make 2 rants today. I think this will be it for today. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down below. And if you made it this far, then do me a favor and, of course, smash the like button, subscribe bell, etc. Big shout out to anybody who super chatted or became a member during the premiere today. And yeah, secret comment of the day is ghost face sushi. Make a comment sentence with ghost face sushi, and we'll know that you're there. But anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys during the live stream. You stay black. Otsukare sama deshita. Yeah, buddy.